To call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock, and it is June 21st of 2021. We'll have a roll call vote.
Ms. Howe?
Here, I am in my office at the Bath Township Hall.
Ms. Butler Challenger, Bath Charter Township. Mr. Wisswasser?
Bath Charter Township Conference Room.
Mr. Almarigi?
I'm at my office in East Lansing, Michigan.
Mr. Benzie?
I'm at my home in East Lansing, Michigan, Bath Township.
Mr. Fewens Bliss?
Here in my home in Bath Township.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Here in Joe Benzie's basement still.
Thank you.
All right. That looks like everybody's here, so we obviously have a quorum. All right, Taylor, do you want to give us a quick rundown for moderation by communication?
Yes, thank you. When we get to public comment, if you would like to make a comment at that time, you can raise your hand either using your physical hand if your video is turned on, raising your Zoom hand with the Zoom hand function, or by dialing *9. You will then be addressed by either your screen name or the last 3 digits of your phone number and asked to unmute. If you are dialing in, you can unmute by dialing *6.
All right, thank you, Taylor. Our civil reflections tonight will be given by the clerk, Brenda Butler Challenger.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and we'll have a moment of silence. Thank you. Our next step will be approval of the agenda, which is number 4 on our agenda. Is there any motions to change or accept?
Motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
Second.
All right. My understanding, okay. Let me take a vote.
Mr. Almarigi?
Yes.
Mr. Benzie?
Yes.
Mr. Fewens Bliss?
Yes.
Ms. Howe?
No.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Yes.
Ms. Butler Challenger? Yes. Mr. Wisswasser?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, number 5 is disclosure of conflict of interest. Is there any? There appears to be none at this time. All right, public statement number 1. I will be enforcing the 3-minute rule this time. So those who will be speaking are going to be timed, so understand that. So Taylor, who do we have for the first public speaking?
If you would like to make a public statement at this time, you can raise your physical hand if you have your video turned on, raise your Zoom hand, or dial *9. Will, go ahead.
Okay, first I would like to, before you start the timer, I think I got my comments pretty close to 3 minutes, but I'd request that the written public comments that are sent to the board as official correspondence should be printed in the minutes in full, instead of Mr. White spoke about the DDA. That's insufficient. So I think I can be pretty close to the 3-minute mark if you want to start the timer now, okay?
Go.
So dissolving the DDA should have been taken off the agenda. It was not properly brought before the board, did not follow legal procedure, and it's a betrayal of the public who spent 10 years nursing it. Property owners were not notified. Nearly 90 residents signed a petition against dissolving it. Many more spoke against it. Only 5 trustees and the former supervisor who tried to kill the DDA are in favor of dissolving it. And the idea the board can do what the DDA is going to do is wishful thinking. The next board can do whatever they want. And where's the 20 million in future funding? Who's going to prepare the projects for approval? You? No. The 3-person planning staff? No. Treasurer Wisswasser last week said his guarantee isn't worth much, that future projects will be done. I can see why. There's no financial analysis, no dedicated funding, no projects planned, no staff to carry it out. The deadline for new projects is passed. There are no projects in the DDA. The one project approved last year was killed by the board. So promises made have already been broken. You have nothing but your opinion and empty promises. So what's the rush, by the way? Where's the impending doom from a new DDA board? What harm could it do? None that I can see. At least the balance sheet will keep growing. How is that bad? It's not. DDA problems were briefly discussed by the board with a solution proposed by Supervisor Howe. Last week, Mr. Almarigi said, if I thought there could be any way of fixing it, I'd be totally for it. More meaningless words from Mr. Almarigi. A way to fix it was presented with no risk. And rather than try it out and try and fix it, he just wants it to go away. Throw out the baby with the bathwater. And Trustee Fewens Bliss says it's great to have all this participation in public comments, but if you want to participate as a DDA volunteer, forget it. No thanks. Talking is fine, but if you actually want to do something, no. Treasurer Wisswasser said the DDA is just 3 letters. Instead, let's create a subcommittee and make it work. Then he mentions Bob Howe is well qualified, and I'd like to work with him in the future. Well, Bob Howe just offered to work with him in the future on a 3-letter subcommittee, and Steve said no. So say one thing and do another. Okay, the problem with the DDA is lack of support from the Board of Trustees. As Marie pointed out, they got to work together as a partnership to get
Well, your 3 minutes is up.
I'm winding up. Treasurer Wisswasser then insulted. Now this board says, no thanks, we're not team players, we're going it alone. Why should we give 9 other people a chance when we can't even get our own board to work together? And by the way, everything you did for 10 years is worthless, means nothing. We 5 bureaucrats know better. Well, that's insulting,
Will,
arrogant,
Will, you can hold up.
All
Hang
right.
on to that thought
Okay.
for public speaking
Last thought,
too.
is this a democracy or tyranny by committee?
All right, is there anybody else? Thanks, Will. I appreciate the 3 minutes.
If anyone else
actually-
would like to make a public
That was
statement at
about
this
right.
time, you can raise your hand, raise your Zoom hand, or dial *9. I do not see anyone additional at this time.
Okay. Thank you, Taylor.
Mhm.
Do we have anyone from, I know we do. Hello, Adam, from the county, state, federal, or any other agency?
Go ahead, Mr. Stacy.
Commissioner Stacy, go right ahead.
I just want to give you an update. Obviously, the comprehensive master plan update is going well at the county. We received our survey back. The survey said, surprise, surprise, the #1 request by people is expansion of broadband in the rural areas. Not shocking to see that after the pandemic we went through. 70% of the respondents to our survey were female. The only thing I take out of that is that they have the patience to fill out a survey and the men don't. So I still think the #1 broadband reach is pretty self-evident. So we weren't surprised by that. The fairgrounds are going to be active and used this August for both the 4-H fair and then the Mint Festival. At this time, we weren't planning on having any food vendors there, although I think some outside food trucks may be present, but we weren't going to actually open up our Smith Hall facilities for food preparation. We had to make the decision a couple months ago. We were still not sure about what the COVID symptoms were going to be or the vaccination rates are going to be. On that subject, I've said that the county was moving to move away from a county state of emergency. I think the governor's actions have pretty much confirmed that. So I do not expect the county to extend a county-specific state of emergency into July. There doesn't appear to be any data unless the health department gives us new information I'm not aware of. That means that all local government units would be required to meet in person and would not have the ability to exempt themselves from the Open Meetings Act as it currently stands. I've talked to the other communities that I serve. They all seem to be prepared to go back to physical in meetings. The County Board of Commissioners will be having our meeting on the 29th, our full board in person at the county courthouse. I just want to also let you know that I don't know if it's there yet, but it will be soon if it isn't, that the county will have a collection unit at the courthouse, similar to what the American Legion has, I believe, in DeWitt, for people who want to retire flags, to deposit those flags, and they can be properly retired American flags. And finally, looking at the American Recovery Plan money, the county has received its first installment of that money. I'm not sure if it was 50%, but it was close to it. It was several millions of dollars that have already come into the county's hands. Obviously, we don't have to spend that money for several more years. I think some of the original strings say about 2024. We're not sure if they're going to put extensions on that or not. We're still trying to determine all the different vehicles that some of that money can be used for. The guidance is coming in slowly from the federal government. It's more of a little bit of an FAQ that other units are asking, well, can we do this and can we do that? And then they're kind of getting back to them. So we're kind of waiting for those all-encompassing overarching rules, but it hasn't happened yet. But the infrastructure committee of the county has reactivated. We have done we're currently doing a complete assessment of all of our physical structure inventory and assessing the status of that for determining capital improvement projects going forward. Obviously, it was good that we already got the 911 plan passed last year before COVID started. So that's already well underway, and we're already doing signal testing on that. But we're still, we're looking, the county could receive up to $15 million. I don't think we're going to get all the 15 million because I don't know if we're going to be able to justify all the different expenses. We just have to see what they're allowed to give to us. Part of that money, we believe, though, that we can use in terms of public health to follow what the state is doing. And for our restaurant industry, they had to get food licensing and others through the health department, that we think we can go ahead and refund their money for 2020 and probably 2021, considering that the government shutdowns prevented them from operating their businesses at near full capacity for most of the year. So I think some of that money will probably be returned to the restaurants. We're not exploring any other direct payments to people at this point. We think refunding, licensing fees probably made sense. That's the extent of my report. Does anyone have any problems? I assume Beth has been working on a transition plan to meeting in person. Does anyone have any issues with the township meeting in person in July?
Trustees, is there any? Apparently not.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, go ahead. Trustee Amarigi, go ahead.
Question for Commissioner Stacy. I'm curious about the survey that you discussed. How is that distributed, or who were the target people to complete that survey?
Yep, there we go. I'm unmuted. I believe that was not sent out, physically to people. I believe that was an electronic survey that was. I'm not sure if it was emailed to people or if it was just an open-ended participation. I know most of the participants in the survey were from up north, but obviously we try to get a holistic picture of the county, even though we're directly involved in the master planning for those rural townships and not for charter townships like in the southern tier. Oh, thank you for bringing that up. I wanted to make sure that the Tri-County Regional Planning did an economic impact of COVID in our area. And you guys should look that survey up at the tri-co.org website. It's got some good factual information about the number of jobs in our region, especially those that they consider economically vulnerable, those that cannot be done remotely and also are in an economic level that puts them in jeopardy of maintaining home payments and other things like that.
All right, Commissioner Stacy, thank you so much for a very good report. That's appreciated. Okay, Taylor, is anybody else?
Nope, I do not see anyone else.
All right, we're going to go to item number 8, which is the
Sorry.
consent.
Sheila Moore is here. Go
Hi.
ahead, Sheila. Sorry about that.
That's okay. My name is Sheila. I'm a health educator with Mid-Michigan District Health Department. I was asked to attend to talk about Park Lake. So as many of you know, that Park Lake has been closed for the swimming beach. We got grant funding to do beach monitoring through Eagle. Park Lake is one of the beaches that was selected to be part of that monitoring program. We started monitoring the lake. This will be week 3. So the first 2 weeks of monitoring, the first sampling. So with E. coli, your action levels are 300 parts per million or higher is your action level. So we want to see numbers below that. So the first week for Park Lake, our numbers were 433 parts per million. And then for our second week, our samples were 733 parts per million. This data is actually available for the public on Michigan Beach Guard website. So you can actually see those numbers as they go in. So moving forward, we all made the decision to close the beach at this time due to the health and health concerns of swimming in the water. We did some observational surveying on Friday. There is a very large geese population, as I'm sure many of you are aware. We are suspecting at this time to be the primary problem with the E. coli. But we are going to do some additional sampling tomorrow around the south part of the beach or south part of the lake. We're hoping to, see that the rest of the lake is healthy. That's what we want to see. We don't suspect that we're going to see these high numbers on the opposite side of the lake, but we won't know that until, these sampling results come back. So if it is more of an isolated problem at the beach, then we know that more than likely it is the geese. So another thing that we are doing, it's called microbial source tracking. So we will actually take some of the samples to MSU labs. They will do this testing for us and they will be able to determine. So they're only going to test for human and they're going to test for cow. So if they come back negative on both of those, then we know that more than likely it's geese. Unfortunately, there's not a good marker for geese. So to go ahead and test for it, there's really not good science there. But being that, if it's human, you're looking at septic systems. And obviously Park Lake is on sewer. So we know that there's something more. When you see cow, that's kind of indication of like farm runoff. There's not any really big farms around, so that kind of rules that out. So that's kind of our plan moving forward. But at this time, the beach will remain closed until we see sampling results come in under 300 parts per million. So if anyone has any questions, I'm free to ask them.
Go ahead, Trustee Amarigi.
Prior to June 9th, when was the last time the beach had been tested for E. coli?
So I'm not sure of that, but this is the first time that the beach has been part of our beach monitoring program. This is the first time we've received grant funding to do this work. So unfortunately, I don't have data prior to just recent. I do know that I talked to a gentleman on the Park Lake Association, and he had told me that they have done periodic sampling years past, but just like one-time snapshots. And it's hard to get good, like they call it a geometric mean. It's hard to get those geometric means when you're only taking one-time snapshots.
Right. I have a quick question. If you find that it's the geese, are you planning a harvesting of the geese, or are you just waiting to see that that's what's going to happen?
So if it is the geese, that would be on the township to take care of the issue.
Okay.
So that's for a greater conversation.
Yep.
So through our observational surveying, and we met with some of the township supervisor on Friday and discussed our findings.
Superintendent, sorry.
Superintendent.
Superintendent, sorry. So some of our, cleanup is big. trying to get rid of that geese population. You know, it was very rainy on Friday. You know, you could walk down to the shoreline, you can see the feces on the beach, on the grass, and you can see that washing right into the water. So that right there is an indication that that is a problem. So I can't tell you right now without seeing what the microbial source tracking comes back as, if it is the problem.
Oh, Trustee Rosencrantz, apparently you have a question.
Yes, did you just take the samples from the beach, or did you go over by the boat launch where a lot of geese are at also?
So the grant funding we have is only for recreational beach monitoring. So we only sample the beach boundaries. But I am going to take some additional samplings tomorrow because we want to get a better snapshot of the health of the lake. So I will be taking a sample from the beach, the boat launch tomorrow. And I have a residence that is allowing me access to off of their dock. So I'll take a sample off of that as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Are there any more questions? Thank you, Ms. Moore, for a very good update. We appreciate that.
Yep.
All right. Number 8, we're going to go to our consent agenda. And you all have copies of that. So, yes, Trustee Benzie.
I'll make a motion
Thank
to
you.
approve the consent agenda as submitted.
I'll second it.
All right, we'll take a vote.
Brenda is not on right now. Their computer restarted. They
Oh,
were unable to stop it, so they will join back in just a couple minutes if we can just take a brief
Sure.
pause.
we'll just
Thank you.
thank you, Taylor, for letting me know. That's right.
Yes.
The picture's not there.
They're coming back on right now, so just a second.
Okay. All right, Ms. Clerk, we're looking for a roll call for the consent agenda. Oh, we need.
I don't know who motioned or seconded it.
Yeah, exactly. I was just gonna say. So Trustee Benzie motioned. It was
Okay.
second by Trustee Rosecrans.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Mr. Benzie,
Yes.
Mr. Fewens Bliss,
Yes.
Ms. Howe,
Yes.
Mr. Rosecrans,
Yes,
Mrs. Butler Challenger, yes. Mr. Wisswasser,
Yes.
Mr. Almarigi,
Yes.
thank you.
All right, that appears that's unanimous. So the consent agenda passes. Now we're looking at number 9, which is the approval of the minutes. Do we have a discussion on the minutes?
yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go
Go ahead.
ahead, Trustee Bliss, did we miss?
I noticed that there was a highlighted, looks like an error on page 3 of the June 7 minutes. It looks like both Trustee Benzie made the motion and supported the motion.
Yes,
You're looking at page 7,
Page 3.
page 3. Okay.
So it's on the agenda so that we, because he did first and second motion, that we can go ahead and re-vote to approve it.
Oh, I didn't see that. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Would you like to approve them together or separately?
Won't,
Oh, I'm sorry. Trustee Rosecrans, go ahead. And-
won't won't we have to wait 2 weeks to accept it?
The first one should, hold on. The May 7th was accepted at the last meeting, but Joe did it first and second. So this meeting, we will accept the June 7th minutes.
Okay,
And I think she asked a question, do you want to do it together or separate?
you gotta do it separate.
Okay. Any discussion on the May 17th? Apparently not. Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve the May 17th minutes.
Or,
Is that trustee Amarigi?
yes,
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Fewens Bliss,
Yes.
Ms. Howe,
Yes,
Mr. Rosecrans,
Yes,
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes. Mr. Wisswasser,
Yes.
Mr. Almarigi,
yes.
Mr. Benzi.
Yes,
Thank you.
all right, June 7th. Any discussion? Do we have a second? Well, I should a motion before we have a second.
well, don't we have to correct this before we, and then do it
Yes.
in 2 weeks?
We can take that's. What do you think, clerk? You want to correct it? It's
We
already,
can go ahead and do it with amendments.
Yeah.
If you want to do it that way,
What'd you say? I didn't understand you.
we can go ahead and approve it with amendments.
so if you want to amend it,
You figure something.
Brian has his hand up.
oh, thank you. Yes, trustee Feedwin Bliss, I'll get it right this time.
Thanks. Brenda, is there a recommended way to approve these minutes by saying we know that this is a mistake and we fix the mistake, or is the
I think-
recommendation just to approve it with the mistake we
As
made?
amended.
I can go ahead and leave them at the top and then write that they were amended and when the date that they were amended. And then who approved them and who did first motion, who did second motion. So they'll all be documented on the last meeting, the June 7th minutes, and then again on these minutes for this meeting. Is that
Thank you.
okay?
Sounds great.
All right, did we get a second?
Who was
Second,
the first? Who was the first?
Oh, I think,
So,
Joe?
Joe's already made the motion.
correct. Well, he'd already made that to accept. We divided the two, but I'm assuming that that's what you would do. Joe would second, trustee
Yeah.
Benzi. And then,
I'm confused. Did somebody make
Yeah.
a motion?
yes, trustee Benzi made the motion to accept as amended the June 7th minutes. It was second, I believe, by trustee Rosecrans. Was I,
Let's do it again. I'll make the motion.
Okay, thank you.
yes,
You're welcome. Alan, you want to second that?
Well, I'd love to.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
okay. All right, now we'll take a vote.
Okay, Ms. Howe,
Yes,
Mr. Rosecrans,
Yes,
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes. Mr. Almarigi,
Yes,
Mr. Benzi,
Yes,
Mr. Fewens Bliss,
Yes.
Mr. Wisswasser.
Yeah.
Thank you.
and yourself?
Yeah, I called on myself.
Good, thank you. Okay, got it. All right, we are on number 10, approval of vouchers. Do we have a discussion?
I move that we approve the vouchers.
Motion, okay, thank you.
I
So,
second.
You said, okay, did you get that, Ms. Clerk?
Gail and then Joe.
Correct.
Thank you.
A vote?
Mr. Rosecrans,
Yes.
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes. Mr. Wisswasser,
Yes.
Mr. Almarigi,
Yes.
Mr. Benzi,
yes,
Mr. Fewens Bliss,
yes.
Ms. Howe.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, now we're on item 11, which is the treasurer report. Do you want to review that?
Good evening. Can you hear me? Or do I need to take my mask off?
You take it off, Steve.
Um, obviously, we've already received our annual audit financial statements. We haven't received their report back yet. They're scheduled, I believe, in August to come in. That's the closest time they can make an appointment to come in. Every year we have about five different reports that are part of the audit. The numbers come from the audits that has to be sent from the state. I'm sharing with you tonight the continuing disclosure report. It was in your packet, and that encompasses most of the reports, supplemental reports that go to the state of Michigan that we're responsible for. This supplemental report, the annual information statement, is what it's referred to, or disclosure report, deals with our bonding and our bond and whether or not how we're eligible to bond and what the status of our bonding is in the event that we was going to bond again. Bonding companies, people who would buy our bonds, if we was going to sell bonds, they can finance something in the way of repairs like a sewer or extensions or something like that. That's where this information would come. They would look at this and look at it for our credit worthiness. There's 3 current bonds that's on this annual report cover. That's what they refer to. If you look at page 1, it'll say 2 down on the bottom after the cover sheet. But if you look at the first page, it talks about the population of the township and the current 5-year estimate that we have that's currently in place. Obviously, it goes back to 2019. We don't have the one we've just recently been doing. It gives you that number, 12,954. If you go down to the next section, it talks about property valuations. If you look, Bath Charter Township state equalized value is 575,094,200. We're the second highest taxable, and the state equalized value both there is in the county right now. Currently, we're just below DeWitt Township by about $80 million. And if you look at your actuarial there, it goes all the way down to 2011. So you get a pretty good idea by looking at that and what the growth and what kind of growth we've experienced since 2011. You go to the next line and it talks about state equalized valuation by class. It talks about real property, personal property, and then it breaks it out in classifications as far as residential, agriculture, commercial, industrial, development, and personal property. Once again, there it breaks it out pretty close to, so you can tell where that money is, that the valuation, what the value of that is, what type of property it is. You go to page 3. If you look to the bottom, and it talks about taxable value. Once again, and it talks about real property, personal property, and the total. It also goes on by taxable valuation, what it refers to there. If you look down to the bottom of the page, it gets kind of interesting. Every year this changes. I notice that every year I do this because it talks about the top 10 taxpayers in the township, and they want to know that. And you can break this out a lot of different ways. You can break it out in BSNA or software by top 10, top 20, whatever you want, whichever way you want to go, but it lists them out. You'll notice that we're pretty multi-family housing. I'm trying to think of what we call this because I don't know if the students are called family or not, but that's what I'm going to call it. Is a pretty big player anymore. It never used to be that way, but it is now. Consumers Energy is far down the line. You'd think how could Consumers Energy own so much? Well, they get taxed on every telephone pole in the county, or in the township and the county as well. If you look at the rest of it, it's all right down the line. Obviously, Meyer 50 Acres is a pretty big player in that page. Go to page 4. You talk about tax rates, and you look at your operating, your police and fire, extra voted millage, your library, You talk about the county operating, it talks about Bath School District. And what it talks about there, if you read down here, it talks about the principal residence and agricultural property and everything that's in there. But what they're doing is they say total all jurisdictions. This is the only thing I don't necessarily agree with this report, but unfortunately I give them the information, and the bonding company is who makes the decision. They only list one school district. This is the problem I have with it. We actually have 3 school districts. It's within the sewer bonds. It's in the sewer system. But we only have one school district that's on the sewer system, and that's what they base this off of. The majority of our sewer system and our bonds, that's what this is about, this report is about, is all off of Bath School District, more so than it is with Hazlet and East Lansing. But keep in mind, we do have Hazlet and East Lansing schools within our sewer system and our bonding. That goes on to tell you how that all breaks down is there. You go to the next page, which is 5. It talks about the annual millage rate and tax limitations, and what they're referring to there is the rollback. You start out at 5 mils and you roll back in 2021, we rolled back to 3.6153. It also talks about the police and fire and the public act and the police operations and the fire operations in that page. You go to page 6. Page 6 is about tax levies once again, and it's all about taxes. And it gives you a dollar amount for the levy for 2020 and what the levy was and what the percentage was. And it gives you there again, it goes all the way down to 2011. And as you can see, we've climbed almost $1 million in that as far as tax levies. And that's due to development, and it's due to growth and economic status. Tax fund balance fiscal year. It shows what the actual tax fund is, the current one, as in 2020, 2021 is going to be out in just a matter of days. My tax database is built. It's just a matter of myself and the county treasurer finishing that up. Probably will happen tomorrow. Revenues from the state of Michigan, it shows you what you got in revenues and constitutional payments and other payments. This is going to change for 2021. When we do this next year, it'll be a total different looking document, because you're going to see some different numbers here, because we have had a lot of different stimulus monies that came through, and that's going to make a big difference in that dollar amount. You go on to page 7, and it talks about, we start getting into retirement plans. We have another report that we do every year that we just finished up here a week ago. It's called the 5572. And all municipalities are required who have pension reports to take and require this report and produce it every year to let them know what the status of their pension is. But this is the start of it, the first page of it. And basically this talks about the total employees. Total employees is 46, active employees is 24, and it gives inactive employees with benefits and whatnot, there's 12. But there's employees that not yet receiving benefits, there's 10 of them. Very important. You go to page 8, it talks about the fact they want to know what kind of fiscal health your township is in as far as retirement goes. A lot of townships, counties, municipalities and whatnot struggle sometimes with their financial pension guarantees. And this is a big deal. That's the reason why they came out with this 5572 report several years ago. And I kind of grew with it a little bit. And why they wanted to track this is because they want to make sure that we are what we say and what we have in their reports. As a rule of thumb, a lot of people like to be about 80%. If you look in 2018, we was at 81%. We've had some retirements. If you take and do the math, when 2020, we was at 77%. But if you look at the 5-year average, it averages out to about 76%. Is what we average out to. So that's not too bad for what we have here in the way of number of employees and where we're at with our pension. There's a lot of townships, a lot of municipalities, so forth, that are not as fiscally as well as what we are. You go to page 9, and it talks about the debt statement. This is where it gets kind of interesting. Our total debt we have in Bath Charter Township here is for one purpose and one purpose only currently, and that's for the purpose of general obligation sewer bonds. They're guaranteed by the good faith and credit of the general fund, but our total debt, you'll see that first number, it sticks right out there with you, is $6,635,000. You may say, well, they think, well, that might be a lot of money. If you look at the overlapping debt, that includes what the debt is in the township that's within all the taxing districts. In other words, school districts. And we have 4 different school districts in the township, and we have 3 different ISDs in the county, and LCC, a community college. That total debt for everybody is 46,328,671. Down below the per capita, it gives you your state equalized valuation, your true trash value, your direct debt. Right on down through it gives you many things that you can look at. They're all interesting numbers. What you want to look at is the last page. I guess it's the second to last page, but the second to last page, page 10, it talks about our schedule of bond maturities. And what this is our schedule of debt that we have for our 3 instruments of bonding that we have. And there's 17 years of bonding here left for the sewer system. You look at it, you think, wow, $6,635,000 is a lot of money. But if you take and you divide that out by 17 years and you amortize that out by 17 years and you average it out, that comes out to about $390,294.12 a year. And that's set up that way for a reason. We did this here back in 2016. We actually put this together because we was in a bit of a pinch. And we didn't have enough money coming in to cover our numbers because it got not looked at for, frankly, honestly, I'll say it, it wasn't looked at for over 8 years. And that's why we put this together. We hired a company that came in and did this. Benzinski does this. Tom Traciak was involved in this. He's actually runs the numbers and does the actuarial, and that's why we have our sewer rate increase and whatnot for our bonding every year when we do our CIP or we do our capital or we do our budget for the township. It gives you your state on the last page. It gives you your state taxable value, and it gives you your debt limit, what you actually can, your margin, what you can have, and you're supposed to have 10% of state equalized valuation. So we're in pretty good shape. We're at 50,000, 50 million, excuse me, 874, 420. We're well within our limits. Our numbers are in good shape. We're ready for more development. The only thing we will need at the time is we'll need more capacity, possibly down the road for our sewer, but we do have our numbers in a row and things are in pretty good shape. I chose to share this with you tonight because I think that our township's in pretty good shape. I think we do have good economics here, and I think things are going forward. And I base a lot of my decisions on what this stuff is. I am the person who provides all this information. I take and assemble it from the different entities where it needs to come. It goes to our municipal bond council, which is Benzinski Company. They're the ones that put this together, and they're the ones that send it out. They put it in a packet. It goes out to all of the people who want to buy bonds in Michigan. This is what this is for. This is what we do. Any questions?
It doesn't appear to be.
Once again, like I said, this is only one of 5 different reports, but what I like about this report is it takes in a piece of all of them that goes with the financial statements, and that's what makes an audit. And that's what I like about this thing is it gives you a little taste of every piece of every one. It's not as in depth as what an audit is, but it hits on the things that what people look for when they're looking for indebtedness and they're looking to see what you want for credit for your community. Thank you.
Is there a motion?
There's nothing to really have a motion for, Marie. It's just this information only. You will get an opportunity to accept and place on file the 2021 audit, which all this stuff is in that. And that
Okay.
My understanding is the last I heard is we're second meeting of August 2nd, the 2nd of August. You'll have all this information for those of you who have not picked up. I know that several of you already have it, but the financial statements are available and Karen has them in her office. And incidentally, all this stuff is sent to the state of Michigan website and Department of Treasury. I do that after the financial statements get here. I typically send everything at the same time.
All right, so if I'm understanding, there's no reason, or at this point, this doesn't say one way or another, we don't take a vote.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. No vote. Okay, committee appointments, there was no change, so there is none. Township committee reports, number 13, there also is none. Unfinished business, number 14, also appears to be none. Then we have B as a boy, which is items for action. So do we have a discussion for A? Okay, so there's no discussion. Any motion to accept or reject?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Okay,
I'll second it.
Second.
I'm sorry, who approved?
I
Oh.
seconded.
Okay, second.
Mr. Wisswasser,
Yes.
Mr. Almarigi,
Yes.
Mr. Benzi,
Yes,
Mr. Fewens Bliss,
Yes.
Ms. Howe,
Yes,
Mr. Rosecrans,
Yes,
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes.
okay, that takes us to a B as in boy. Okay, the second reading and adoption of the 63.2. Is there a discussion? Okay, no discussion. Is there a motion?
I'll move approval of the second reading and adoption of ordinance 63.2.
I'll second that.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't catch. Did you catch who's second?
This is Steve.
Steve did.
Okay, good. Well, that's right there in the room, so. Okay. Do we need
Mr.
a vote?
Almarigi,
Yes.
Mr. Almarigi,
Yes.
Mr. Benzi,
yes,
Mr. Fewens Bliss,
Yes.
Ms. Howe,
No,
Mr. Rosecrans,
yes,
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes. Mr. Wisswasser,
Yes.
thank you.
all right, we're at C as in Charles. 4 items for action. Do we have a discussion?
yeah,
Ryan has his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Trustee Feedwin Bliss? Was, I hope.
I'm in favor of moving to 3-year terms, but I'm not in favor of adding non-township residents to the committee. So I guess I wanted to state that. If we
Okay,
want to change that, I would support just the 3-year terms, but not the non-township residents.
all right, there are actually 3 issues on this. There's the resident or a business owner, which you're saying that that's not what you'll accept. Then you have your 3-year term, and then you have your staggered. Correct? Okay, so what you're saying, if I'm understanding this, the business owner, you're not supporting. Is there any other discussion? Because,
I agree with him. I think that it's, we need to have our residents.
even though this particular business owner, because we're talking about the Sewer Board of Appeals, correct?
Yes,
Okay, so we're saying for anyone who sits on the Sewer Board of Appeals, they must be a resident regardless of whether they pay personal property tax. Am I understand? Is that what you mean, Trustee Rosecrans?
that's not what I mean.
Okay. What do you mean? Help me out.
I just think we should go to a 3-year term. It should be a resident of the township, not a large business that would happen to come in. And it's just,
Okay.
I would like to see them be on the line also,
Yeah, I'm sorry. What do you mean on the line? I
on the
don't-
sewer line. That's what we're working on.
Oh, I see. Oh, all right. So they're not just residents, they're residents who use the system.
That use the system, that's right. Because they're the one paying for it.
Okay. I'm sorry. Trustee Almarigi, you had your hand up.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, someone had communicated how frequently the Sewer Board of Appeals meets, and it was something like 3 meetings in the last 10 years. Am I misremembering that? Can someone clarify?
It was 1 in the last 10 years.
I was gonna say, I'm not sure. I know they don't meet frequently.
I don't have strong feelings about, I mean, any aspect of the ordinance, and as such, I'm inclined to support it in its entirety. You know, with the understanding that, I mean, this committee does not meet all that often.
Correct. It does not.
So, for the sake of moving the meeting on, I'll make the motion to accept ordinance 74.1 as presented.
Is there a second? Apparently not. So this then comes back. Okay. There is no vote. All right, we'll go on to 15, which is new business. And I think Superintendent Hildebrandt has an additional information.
I do, and I was pleased to have Sheila Moore with us tonight from the Health Department to be able to explain in technical terms to you all what's been occurring with the lake. As I stated in my most recent email to you, I chose to preemptively close the lake because if doing so, I am able to determine when it is feasible for it to open. And that to me would be when it's safe to for people to recreate again, which would be at the point at which it's under 300 parts per million, as Sheila explained. If the health department is to close the swimming area, they have to have, it's my understanding, a clear sample, which I understand to be no E. coli in the sample at all. So if the health department closes it under their authority, it will be closed for potentially a much longer time than if the township is to close it. Now, that doesn't prevent people from swimming in it. I'm sure that over the weekend, there were probably people swimming in it. It has been posted as having high levels of E. coli bacteria in it so that people are aware. And I'm having DPW check those signs each morning when they're down in that area, opening the bathrooms at Wiswasser Park to ensure that the signs are in fact still there, warning people and that they haven't been stolen. And people are using the swimming area without the knowledge that it could be potentially cause illness to them. So if anybody has any questions for me, it's my understanding we'll continue to test, and I'll rely on the experts, which is Sheila and her team, as to when those tests are taken. And but it is my understanding that if we have 5 test results over that 300 parts per million, they will take action to shut it down. And I don't know if that means they will override or in addition to my action, but they may take the authority out of my hands at that point and use their authority instead. So I'll get clarification on that, but I just wanted you to know that I was trying to preemptively keep our residents safe, notify them that it could cause illness, but you still may see people using that area. So, Trustee
All right.
Bliss,
I was gonna say-
Fewens Bliss.
Does the signage itself meet our threshold of liability? Like, is there more that we need to be doing, or is
No,
this-
the health department indicated our signs were appropriate. It basically says, caution, swimming area closed due to high levels of E. coli bacteria, which can cause illness. And then it has the Bath Township name and phone number on it, which the health department indicated was an adequate sign.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Trustee Almarigi.
I have two questions. The first, do we have does the township have a regular testing mechanism for Park Lake? I mean, is it done on an annual basis or?
Yeah, so I've spoken at length with Dan Hayes, who's the chair of the Park Lake Advisory Board, and they do some water quality monitoring throughout the year, but I can't tell you if they take a sample once a month or if they take a sample. I don't think they're sampling every week. But I had spoken to him because people have often asked me since I came into this position what the water lake quality was like. And there's lots of rumors out there. And I can't attest to whether they're true or not. I just only know what I'm told. But you know, a lot of residents that have grown up around here will say they never step foot in there because of things they know. And I wanted to make sure that I could have an answer for, you know, moms and dads that want to know if it's safe for their little guy or girl to go down there and swim in Park Lake. So I talked to Dan about increasing the testing, and that's kind of when this program came to light from the health department, and we were able to become part of their testing program, which is grant funded. So the timing of it was almost perfect.
So to look at historical results, talking to the Friends group would be the
Park Lake Advisory Board or the Friends group. They may have additional data that I'm not aware of.
Okay.
And Joe, I know you are on Park Lake Advisory Board now with that group, and I'm sure they've discussed this. Did they mention any additional data that they have?
You must be muted, Karen. I'm not sure he heard you.
Okay.
No, he raised his hand.
No,
I sit with the Park Lake Advisory Board.
right.
And the information that Karen's discussing is in her annual corporate report.
Okay. And those are all online for people to view if you'd like to see those. Yep.
The second question I have is, are we doing anything to remediate the situation while we wait for additional testing from the health department?
So at this time, they're really in a phase of observation, and we are in a phase of trying to discover. We're working with SCUMA, we're working with MSU, we're working with the state to try to understand just where the E. coli, the source of the E. coli. If it were a home that was discharging raw sewage right into Park Lake, they're looking for instances like those to try to remediate that. Really, until we get the test back that gives us a marker for what, if this is human or if it's an animal, we're really kind of in a holding pattern.
I guess one question I have is, if geese are known to be E. coli contributors, and we have a population of geese on the lake, would it hurt to address that population?
So I have reached out to the DNR to have that discussion and see what it is that we can do. We worked with the DNR in the past to tag the geese to try to get an idea of their migration patterns. And if they're leaving the area, if they're returning to the area. And it's my understanding that many of them, because of the winters becoming lighter, are not leaving the area. So, and then of course, having their more babies each year. So the population is growing rapidly.
Thank you.
Supervisor Howe?
Look at my hand up.
Hi.
I don't usually get to do that. I'm going to follow up on a little bit of what Trustee Almarigi said with regards to the number of geese that are there. And I know you and I had this discussion. It's very difficult to harvest. But if we have that situation, which it sounds like that's what we're going to have.
Yeah,
we'll
we may
have to wait and see, what the data is going to show. But if we do have it, have you broached DNR as to harvesting and how they're going to do that? Or is that still?
No, I have
out
not
there?
had that discussion yet,
Okay.
but I would do everything in my power to encourage that process to be away from
Right.
being viewed by families and children and done at a time when maybe the lake is not in high use. I would not want
Okay.
even capturing them can be cause a ruckus. So I don't know if they would just relocate them. I don't know what the answer would be, but I will work with them to make sure that it's done in my hopes humanely and not to
Exactly.
cause any distress or to our community. Yeah.
Okay, nope, I think I doubt seriously if they'll relocate them because the problem will go with them.
Yes.
But the harvesting of them is.
Yeah.
That's
The
an
answer
issue.
they may
It's an
issue
issue.
more permits when hunting season comes around. I'm unclear what will happen, but
Yeah.
I will work with
Okay.
them closely on that.
And one other thing, I didn't see a written report. Is that because it's very lengthy and very detailed?
Well, I had hoped Sheila would speak during this time, but we
Okay.
had Sheila speak under county officials' statement. So it was actually my intent to have her speak during this time so that
Okay.
I could follow up and we would be here to answer any of these questions for all of you.
Okay, nope, understand. All right, is there any other question? Or questions, plural, whichever. All right, we're going to go new business, B as in boy. It's in-person meeting, communication. I think Coordinator Taylor Reeves wrote this.
Yes, that is me.
Okay,
Good evening. So Commissioner Stacy kind of already touched on this, that we may be returning to in-person meetings. So I just wanted to provide a memo to all of you of just a brief breakdown of how that will go. Once we are back to in-person, it doesn't allow for there to be a virtual way to make a public comment. You need to be in person in order to make a public comment. We are hoping to continue live streaming the Board of Trustees meetings. My intent is to only live stream the Board of Trustees meetings. This is based on the data that I have for viewership over the last year and a half of doing this. Board of Trustees meetings have consistently had double and at times triple the number of viewership as all of our other boards and committees. So because of that data, I feel that it's not necessary to continue live streaming the rest of our committees. Those would still be video recorded as they have been in the past and posted on our website. So that would not end, but the live streaming to Facebook would for all other committees other than the Board of Trustees. And I am open for questions if anybody has any.
yes, Trustee Feedwin Bliss.
Taylor, are you saying that we don't have the technology to take in virtual comments, or that it's no longer legal for us?
It's no longer legal for us to take in virtual public comments. After there's no longer a local state of emergency, all electronic communication ends. So we can't have two-way communication through electronic means. We can still have an electronic viewing opportunity. We just can't have public communicating with us through that platform, if that makes sense.
Yes, that's helpful. Second question, what is the typical turnaround time in getting video recorded committee meetings posted to the website so that folks could watch them?
Typically, I get them up the next day. If I'm on vacation or something, then obviously when I return, but I would say probably 90% of the time the next day.
Great, thank you.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes, Trustee
Yeah.
Benzie, go ahead.
Taylor, I noticed when I was in the boardroom, we have a lot of shields up for the board, between the board and the population of the community.
Yes.
Will we need those when we start resuming in public?
It's a good question.
So I believe under, I haven't read the complete order yet from the governor, but it's my understanding that we're not obligated to have those safety measures in place. Obviously, that'll be up to the superintendent if she would like to continue having those safety measures in place. So I will kind of leave that up to her discretion.
Yeah, I've heard from several of you that that you don't care for them and would prefer not to use them, but I will make them available to anyone that would like it and would feel safer with it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, trustee Almarigi?
And just clarification on electronic two-way communication related to this. I see that you're gonna live stream the board meeting via Facebook, and I know that there's people can comment on the live stream. Does that will that continue to be approved, or is that considered a form of communication?
We have throughout this entire ordeal, I guess, with electronic meetings, those have not counted, if you will, as a public comment. So obviously those are not read when we are accepting public comments or anything like that. So that is not an official record. People obviously are free to make those comments as they wish, as it is social media. But no, that does not count in the two-way communication aspect.
Thank you.
Yes.
Is there any other discussion? Now, I guess you have to, you should accept or reject. So is there a motion? This is pretty
I don't
major.
think we need a motion on this, do we?
Well, initially I wouldn't think, except it's pretty major as to what we're discussing here. We're shifting from Zoom to in-person, and these are the guidelines that we'll be using. So I guess we're going to need a vote as to whether or not. So do I have a motion? Does that make any sense? Trustee Benzie, I'm trying to, initially, I wouldn't think that, but this is going to be our guideline. If we don't accept this, that's fine. That's,
No, I respectfully, I don't
Nope.
think so, because we haven't.
then, nope,
guidelines.
that's okay with me. So in other words, this is information. I'm sorry. Hang on one sec. This will be information only. It's not to be accepted or rejected, so you don't have to accept it. You don't have to reject it. So understand. Trustee Rosecrans.
Yeah, we didn't vote to go to Zoom.
No, you did not.
And so I don't know why we would have to vote to get out of it.
That, I guess that's my own personal preference. That's all that is. So if you don't want to, that's fine. Trustee Almarigi.
I'll make the motion. I move to acknowledge Mrs.
Yes.
Reeves' communications regarding in-person township meetings, and to thank her for giving us the heads up.
Yep. Thank you. Do I have a second? Apparently not. So.
Oh, you guys are killing me. Give me a second.
So there you go. This is just a piece of paper. Okay. All right. We will go on to C's and Charles, which is the memorandum of understanding. Okay. It looks like Superintendent Hildebrand.
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. This was forwarded to us by the Housing Commission Director Ann Scholes. She indicated that this is something that is needed to be done every 5 years per her requirements from the federal government, and that it basically understates that the township as the local government, local unit of government under which the Housing Commission operates will assist them if needed in if they were to undertake a project, that we would make sure it was safe and done by the book for their residents.
Is there any discussion? Now, this will require signatures. So is it your will that this just be signed? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Trustee Feedwin Bliss.
So I'm sorry, this
No.
is new?
No, shouldn't. I don't think it is. Is it, Karen? I don't think it is.
I was not able to locate a document back when from Dan or from Troy or a previous superintendent.
Okay.
I couldn't electronically. I did not go to the basement to see if I could retrieve anything from there, but I don't have anything from the last 5 years ago from, let's say, Superintendent Waticha. So, but she indicated it's to be done every 5 years.
And we would provide these services free of charge.
No.
No, it says that the
No.
Housing Commission will reimburse us for any expenses, even if it's attorney expenses, that we expend in assisting them with anything.
Yeah, reimbursement, but we're not charging them, is my question.
Correct,
Okay.
reimbursement.
Okay. All right, can I quickly add something that might help trustee Feedwin Bliss? On the second page, on italics 2, it says when it's appropriate. I think this environmental study, I don't think they're doing anything. So the language that's in here is, I think, only if they're doing something with the environment, which they're not. So I don't know if that helps or not. Seems like a form letter to me, but that's. Hang on, trustee Elmer. I think trustee Rosecrans, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, this is just for discussion, right? This is gonna come back
Yes,
next.
it's a discussion.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, that was it? All right, trustee Almarigi?
I'm a bit unclear as to what is inclusive of environmental audits. Is that and the only reason is within this packet, the minutes from the Housing Commission, there was a resident complaint about mold, and apparently that was a charged meeting based on the minutes.
Yes,
and so I'm curious if this is inclusive of conditions within the buildings themselves.
So it's my understanding that if, I know there's been a lot of discussion around the Housing Commission possibly moving from being a public entity to being a private entity, like a for-profit entity, at which time something like that would occur, we would become involved to make sure that the units were safe and healthy for anybody that may be living in them. It's my understanding there has to be a project for us to become involved.
I think that's pretty, yes, I think that's pretty clear. They do have to meet with the board, with us, in order to sever that cord from a public entity to then a private, not-for-profit. All right, trustee Feedwin Bliss?
So does this bind us that we must serve in that role, or we still get the option as a new project comes about?
No, I think it's our responsibility as the local government that they're operating under that it becomes an obligation that we do that.
Are you talking about what our obligation is with them today, or?
I'm saying our obligation once we enter into this agreement.
Oh, this agreement. Well, yeah, it speaks to the PHAs, which is your public housing authority, which is what they are, but your E, what do they call it? Your RE, which is a responsible entity.
Would it help if I had Ann attend the next meeting
Yeah, that might help
to help us walk our way through some of this?
I was going to suggest that, but
It was
Yes.
presented to me as being rather routine, but I feel like your questions warrant further explanation, possibly from her, since she's done these before and I have not, so. Jason or Ryan, I don't know who had.
I don't know which one. You guys want to arm wrestle? Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Have we had legal look at this?
I have not.
I would be interested.
I
to
can
hear what
do that as well.
It related to that, one thing that stood out was the sort of the asymmetry in the agreement terms, that the PHA can just provide a number of days written notice of termination, but there's a lengthy process for
There's a process.
the township. I would like to know if we can make those equal.
Okay,
But just within the legal review of this.
okay. So equal time in disbanding the memorandum of understanding.
Yeah, so
Okay.
the township may terminate the MOU at any time by giving X number of days written notice.
Okay,
Dealing solely with this environmental study, correct? Is that, okay,
This particular agreement, yes.
yeah, okay.
okay. And I'll see if Ann's available for our next meeting.
Okay, good idea. Okay.
Next time you will, I think you started to say this, Madam Supervisor, but we will need to determine whether it's
Yes.
probably me or the supervisor that signs this.
It does have signatures on it, so if you're gonna wait for Ann, then the signatures don't need to be done, do they?
No, no, I said we'll have to
Okay.
decide next time.
Okay, nope.
All right, thank you.
No, thank them. Okay. All right, we're at D as in David, referral of landscape ordinance. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not even, I'm down here in my head. All right, Trustee Benzie?
Yes, why don't we let Nick explain this?
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening. So this ordinance has been something the Planning Commission has been working on since, I want to say, January. The intent here is just to add some additional guidelines and restrictions for new development moving forward. I hope that it's abundantly clear that there are some exemptions in here as to when this ordinance does and does not apply. So I'm happy to go through any particular points that people have questions about, but this ordinance is oriented towards commercial, office, industrial, mixed use, and multifamily developments, and does have very clear exemptions for development within the rural zoning district with a couple of exceptions, agricultural uses in all zoning districts, and single-family homes that are built individually are exempt from this as well. So I guess with that, if there are any questions or particular sections that you all would like me to explain, I'd be happy to do so. Otherwise, if there's any feedback on this, I'm happy to take it.
Nick, I have a question, and I know you went through this. I have to tell the rest of them, he did an amazing job with this. And he tried to dot all i's, cross all t's. And I know that you told me this once, but I need to have it told a second time. Where it talks about your rural exemptions. If a plot of land is removed from a farmland and it becomes a developer's land, do they then fall under the requirements? Or is it because it comes from North End, it's exempt?
Would depend on what they're doing with the property.
Okay.
So as it states within that rural exemption section, the developments within the rural zoning district are exempt from this with the exception of planned unit developments, performance subdivisions, or other types of subdivisions.
Okay. So it would have to be a subdivision or a condominium, something.
Correct.
Okay, that's.
The rural district is fairly limited in what is allowed to be done on the land, primarily oriented, of course, towards agriculture, but there's also single family housing, accessory structures, and some very restricted commercial uses, but those would solicit a special use permit.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Any other questions? Trustee Armarigi?
I've communicated with Mr. Tefelsky and Mr. Kramer by email some of these questions, but I think I do have some questions about the approved tree list and, you know, how comprehensive that's going to be, especially for exotic non-invasive trees that may be specimen trees, and how that might be handled within this ordinance. Another question I have is, you know, looking at some of the language, there isn't really room for whether a pond is counted within landscaping or not. And if you read some of the language, it says that all non-paved area within a development should have either sod, grass, landscaping, or some live material. So it's not quite clear how ponds are handled. It sounds like that, there's a difference between natural ponds and wetlands versus man-made ponds. And then I do wonder about the minimum requirements for landscaping. They say 10% for as low as 10%, as high as 20%. Especially when grass and ground cover is not counted within that landscaping. And so it wasn't quite clear to me how that was handled, and a tree, what portion of a tree counts as like the square footage. And so is it the canopy coverage? Is it the footprint of the tree at the base, or the trunk cap height, chest height? So anyhow, I've communicated these concerns directly with Mr. Tafowski. And so.
Yeah, so I'm aware of those, as you said, Jason, and the language will be cleaned up so that next time it's more clear as to how exactly that would work as it relates to the percent landscaped area, as well as any sort of unique features such as a pond, whether that be artificial or natural, things like that. And then as it relates to the tree list, the reason that we don't have that strictly in the ordinance is so that it is easier for us to make changes to it if we find a particular tree is causing problems, or we identify a species that we hadn't thought of that might be appropriate. The route that I'm taking at the moment is following pretty closely to several other communities around the region, where if a species isn't listed, it simply states that other species are considered on a case-by-case basis. So hopefully that will alleviate that question or concern as well.
Trustee Almarigi.
So I just wanted to add, beyond those small questions I have. I mean, this is and to reiterate what Supervisor House said, this is a big deal. This is a good accomplishment of the Planning Commission. As you can imagine, this is there are differences of opinion on this. Sure. And so the real utility here is to provide strength to the Planning Commission to request and to enforce the landscaping of these developments that we've struggled with in the past. So this provides some teeth to the Planning Commission and code compliance.
I have one quick statement with what Trustee Almarigi had said. The ponds, when you talk about that, sometimes there's a pond that's created for runoff. That's a different animal as opposed to someone purposely digging it up to create a man-made pond. But sometimes the runoff creates the pond. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
Okay. In that, so that's the second thing that you're addressing, correct? In other words, the ponds are not only just man-made, but they could be a very natural environmental plus of being able to have runoff water.
Yeah, I'm intending to communicate with the Drain Commission tomorrow just to see if they have any thoughts on that. But that's correct.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion? What?
Yeah, this is an excellent piece of work by the Planning Commission.
Yes.
And they should be very pleased with this. This was a very big project.
All right. Is there any other discussion? Any other statement? Nice job, Nick. I don't think we need to take a vote on it. I think I shouldn't say that. Is that going to come back?
It It should come back at the next meeting for
Okay.
first reading and introduction.
Okay, that's what I
If
thought.
anyone thinks of any questions between now and then, please feel free to reach out to me and let me know.
Okay. I wondered where he'd be. All right. Next one, which would be Ease and Edward. We're going to move on. Principles of government. Do we have a discussion on that piece, which came from the Michigan Township Association?
I brought this, this is a proposed best practice recommended by the Michigan Townships Association. If you would like to adopt this, I can bring this back at the next meeting. And if you have no interest in it, I can leave it off the agenda. Mr.
Yes.
Bunes-Bliss?
Go ahead.
Has a board in Bath adopted these before?
I want to say that the board that you sat on or the board right after adopted these, yes.
Okay, it does seem familiar. I should
Yeah.
know that. Sorry.
It's okay.
All right, is there any other discussion? Oh. Trustee Armarigi, you have your hand up.
Thank you. You know, I absolutely love this. I agree with every principle within it. Simply signing our names does nothing other than acknowledge that we believe in this. It doesn't mean that we're actually doing anything to change. And so, you know, when I look at the items of this, there's some, and I look at our past meetings, I think about Treasurer Wishwasser's comment in one of the early meetings of this current board about getting sensitivity training. And so I wonder if we're going to sign our names to this, can we at least have a discussion about how we might work towards some of these things about working more cohesively together?
Okay, are we doing that now or not? I don't know.
Working cohesively together, or are we?
Or are we discussing it, which is what you wanted to do? So you want to bring this back for more discussion?
I think I'm just making a general statement that I am fully intending on signing this. And also, I personally would love to see us have some concrete activities that help us live more fully into these principles.
Okay. Is there anybody else? Okay.
Right.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Yes, Treasurer Wishwasser. Please stand up.
I would take it that if we're gonna do this and we're gonna sign this, that this would also translate, it would happen within the township hall here. And if we agree to this, and we would, as Jason said, we would look at this and maybe we would all maybe look at the way we communicate with one another in the township hall, as well as not just in the boardroom, in the board meeting. So oftentimes these things that it talks about principles of governance and it talks about all the board members here, and the first thing everybody thinks about is you think about the boardroom. And it's not just in the boardroom where this needs to take place. It needs to take place in the township hall as well. I hear, and I'm not gonna name names, but I'm just gonna tell you right up front, and the people in the hall here know how I feel about it. I have no use for vulgar language in the hall. We have people who come here with little children. We have people who stand at the counter. This is still a small community building. And I believe that we need to take and have a little more respect for the young folks and for people who come into our building. There's those who probably would say, well, that's pretty easy for him to say. He's nothing but an old dirt farmer. Well, yeah, I am, but I'm not in the dirt when I'm in here, and neither should anybody else be. And that's my only comment I have about this. I have no problems of trying to take and have principles of government, but we all need to be respectful not just ourselves and our ones that we're talking with, but others who are here trying to do business on a day-to-day. That's the only thing I have to say about that, but I'm here every day and I hear it. I guess that's my thing.
Same here. That's absolutely. I could say that. So that has to go along a lot with what you're trying to say, Trustee Amarigi. The sensitivity training, is that, or do you want to bring this back for additional discussion? It's entirely up to the board.
If I may, I think what I would recommend doing is if I bring this forward to you and you all agree to sign it and approve it, that I would in the future put topics of implementation on the agenda so that you could discuss plans on how to implement this, or how to better get along, or how to better, carry out all of these items that you're signing to be in agreement with.
Okay, my understanding then what you're talking about is, and I'm not saying one way or another, Superintendent, what I'm asking is, it's a good piece that you're looking at, but you're talking about piecemealing it. You're talking about twice a month going over an issue. Does that sound okay, as opposed to sitting down at one time and doing the whole spiel?
I've honestly seen the strategic, I've seen a lot of different ways of boards trying to come together, and I can assure you that it will take more than 3 hours
Exactly.
in one meeting. And so it will be an ongoing process.
Okay. All right, where are the rest of you? Any discussion with the rest of you? Trustee Rosecrans, any thoughts?
I think it's got to be brought back to us and us to work on it, yes.
Okay. You want it brought back?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Trustee Benzie?
Yeah, bring it back.
Okay. Trustee Feedwin Bliss, what are your thoughts?
So I support this and I would sign it. Are we bringing it back for a vote, or are we bringing it back for some sort of process?
Well, my thought would be that they're looking at the process, but Trustee Rosencrantz, what's your thoughts?
Well, you're going to have to look it over better and discuss what's in it. Because there's
a lot.
There is problems here.
Okay, Trustee Benzie, I haven't forgotten you, Trustee Amarigi, just hang on there.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay. Trustee Amarigi, what's your thoughts?
Well, I shared my thoughts.
Okay.
We do have a clerk and a treasurer who may have some thoughts as well.
No, I'm getting there.
Okay.
I'm going down the line of the pictures. That's the only way I know how to do it, is go by lines with pictures. Okay, Ms. Clerk, what are your thoughts?
Bringing it back and discussing that.
Okay. All right, now with the mask, you're saying bring it back for, that's okay.
Discussion, yeah.
Trustee Wiswasser?
I'll be a trustee for now if you want me to. I was a long time ago, but I'm a treasurer now, but
Yes.
I can do both jobs. The only thing I ask is the MTA available to come and do a presentation with us and meet with us? That's what they're for. That's what they do. If the MTA would be available to come and do a presentation, the author on this thing who would like to talk about this thing and give some insight on this thing, I would love to see that myself. I know years ago I sat on boards that did that. I've attended many classes at the MTA where they did this and they had these types of things. And so I would be willing to take and set through that. And I would we're pretty close to the MTA. They're right here in Lansing. There's no reason why they can't drive over to Bath and see us.
Well, I don't think that would be a problem for them. All we have to do is just reach out to them. Okay, nope, it looks like that's what the majority wants to do, is to bring this back will reach out to MTA. And they have two authors on it, so, but I'm sure they must have an expert that deals with that. Maybe it's one of them, I don't know. We can ask them, we'll reach out to them. Does that sound like a plan?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay. We have a B as in boy, which is the items for action. That's the calculation. Apparently, July 5th. Do we have a discussion on that?
I wanted to bring this forward.
Okay.
In the past, previous boards have not wanted to hold their meeting that immediately follows the 4th of July holiday. It's usually dependent on people's travel plans and whether or not there is a action items to be taken up for business. I thought I would bring this forward so that this board, since it's the first time it's occurring, could have that discussion and give me some direction as to how you would like to proceed.
May I ask a question? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Trustee Rosecrans.
I would like to see us cancel the July 5th meeting, because being so close to the holiday, we're going to be traveling.
I'll second that.
Okay, we're talking about, I understand. Now, are you seconding it for a vote or are you seconding it because of the thought?
Well, I'm seconding it for a vote. He made a motion, I seconded it.
No, we're still in discussion.
Alan made a motion.
Was that, I'm sorry, I missed it as a motion. I took it as a statement.
No, I think we should cancel the meeting.
Well, I have a
I don't see
question.
that much on the agenda unless there's something really pertinent comes up.
Oh,
that
no,
has to be taken care of, that we skip the July 5th meeting.
So does that, my only question with it, does that mean Friday, the 2nd, the office is open and then it'll be closed on the 5th?
Correct.
Or are you closing it both days, Friday and Monday?
No, when a holiday falls on a Saturday, we're closed on a Friday. When a holiday
Let's-
falls on a Sunday, it would be on a Monday.
Monday.
Yep.
So what we're looking at is.
It would actually be the 6th, I guess, because because the office is closed, there would be no Monday night meeting. I'm sorry, I miswrote that. So thank you for pointing that out. So it would actually be the Tuesday, July 6th meeting.
So that means that the 2nd, is the office closed or open?
Open, it's a Friday. Open, it's a Friday.
Okay, no, that's what okay. So the 2nd's open, the 5th would be closed. That's the motion. And Joe, and you're seconding it? Is that what you're doing?
I'm going to withdraw my motion because I want it to be closed on this would be the Tuesday afterwards when I have our meeting.
He would like to cancel the meeting on Tuesday, July 6th.
Right, because that's when you were going to have it. And we've done that in the past for years.
Okay.
Karen?
Go ahead, Taylor.
The meeting is still scheduled for Monday because it's
Correct.
not the actual holiday.
Oh,
Correct.
Even though we're
okay.
observing it, it's still scheduled for Monday.
Okay,
That's part of what I was
okay.
asking.
So the
we're-
July 5th is right.
Yes, you were right.
Our office would be closed,
Yes, but
And
the
what you're
meeting is still
voting-
scheduled.
but the meeting is still scheduled. What
For
I'm
the
asking
6th.
you to do is consider to cancel the meeting
The
for the
5th,
5th.
but we're open on Friday, the 2nd.
Yes.
We would be closed on Monday, the 5th. Then our meeting would be moved to the 6th.
No, the
No,
meeting would
because
just
we're
be
open.
canceled.
Because we're,
Yeah. Okay,
I don't. It's whether or not you want to hold the meeting.
so July, what you're saying, what your motion is, make sure I'm understanding it, Trustee Rosecrans, is that there will be no Board of Trustee meeting that first week of July. Our next meeting would be the 19th.
Correct.
Okay, okay.
I'll second that.
well, hang on, we still have a discussion, Jason.
Well, since trustee Rosencrans withdrew his motion,
Correct.
I want to sneak in and make the motion that we cancel the July 5th Board of Trustees meeting.
Okay. So is. the
Hopefully I'll
meeting-
get a second on this one.
So, yeah, you should. So the meeting then doesn't go the 6th is what,
No,
Trust-
it's wholly canceled and our next one would be our next scheduled
which is the
meeting.
19th.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Does everybody understand the motion? Everybody else seem to understand it? All right. Should I repeat it so that everybody understands it? The office is open the 2nd. We're looking at canceling the 5th, which cancels the meeting altogether. We're not going to move it. It cancels the total meeting. So the next meeting would be July 19th.
Thank you.
Is that correct?
You
Okay.
need a- You need a
Anybody have a
second.
second? And trustee Benzie, you second
Okay. I'll second it, yeah.
that
Wait.
correct motion.
No. I want to make
Okay.
sure I made the motion.
Yes, but he seconded.
And did Joe, did you second it?
Yeah, I did.
All
He
right.
did.
right.
Okay,
1 for 3, Jason, not bad.
that's what he did because
You got
trustee Rosencrans pulled his. So, all right, we need a vote. Now everybody understands the motion. And it's been second, so now we'll take a vote.
Mr. Thewens Bliss,
Yes.
Ms. Howe,
Boy, that's a, yes.
Mr. Rosecrans,
After second thought, yes.
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes. Mr. Wisswasser,
Yes.
Mr. Elmarigi,
Yes.
Mr.
You did that on
Benzie.
purpose.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I think we have that one out of the way. So work is all for the most part. Superintendent's report.
Thank you. I did not mean for that to be so confusing.
Well,
Um,
it was confusing.
I'm sorry.
No, that's.
So obviously I've been working, Taylor and I have been working a great deal with the health department to understand what's happening in the lake. And I only say that because it's been my first time as superintendent. Obviously a pandemic wasn't enough. I get to learn about E. coli as well. And it is fascinating and it is, it's very important to me that we always protect the health, safety and welfare of our residents and those that visit our facilities in Bath. And I know that we have become a destination, as Mr. Benzie would call it, point for people that think Lake Lansing's too crowded and they're coming here. And if you drive through on the weekend, which many of us have witnessed recently, our beach and the boat launch are most of the time very packed. And so it's a testament to what we have to offer here and that people are taking advantage of it. So we want to make sure that they stay safe. So that will be my first priority. The senior center staff is currently developing a reopening plan with safety processes so that when we open the senior center, which it's my intention to do so, I've been following the guidance of the Tri-County Office on Aging. And I'm hoping if the floors can be completed, which they've put the order in for the new flooring, if that can be completed, I'm hoping that we're able to open the senior center mid to late July. That'll depend on a lot of things coming together during that time. But I know that the seniors are excited for it to open. And we are currently trying to plan some fun things to reopen it with kind of a bang for them. They've gone a long time without the socialization and without the food. And I think the camaraderie, and I think that they're sorely missing that, so that we're really trying to make it a special event when they come back. I have been attending a great many webinars to do with the American Rescue Funds. As Commissioner Adam Stacy mentioned, there's not a great deal of information that has come to us yet, but it is starting to be more free-flowing. State Treasury is developing a website and developing some of their own guidelines. I attended a webinar last week with them talking about the topic. And I think that they'll be of great service and information for communities like ours that are receiving funds, which we have to actually apply for, which was something I was not aware of until recently, but we have to actually apply for the funds, even though we've been targeted to receive funds. So I'm finding each time I'm learning a little bit more. So I'm happy that I'm attending these. Some of it's redundant, but I am picking up some new things. Staff has also been working under the direction of our clerk, Brenda Butler Challenger, on working to make our cemetery data entry and mapping program more useful. If any of you have ever visited and seen one of the big black books out on the counter, our cemetery records are mostly contained on paper. And it's not the most efficient way to help our residents and help those that have purchased plots and lots in Pleasant Hill Cemetery and in Rose Cemetery. So we are working on getting that data entered and making it a more user-friendly piece of software that we can share online, and people can do genealogy and learn about their relatives and their family members, and possibly even contributing photos to the database so that people can see headstones. There's a lot of new technology, so we're just trying to do our best to navigate that and understand how we can make it better for staff first and foremost, and then better for the public. As Treasurer Wiswater stated, property tax payments will start coming in very shortly. The bills are going to go out for July 1st. And staff is going to be just overloaded with tax payments and sewer payments, because those have went out recently as well, those bills. So staff is going to be busy here in the upcoming summer months, and they've been working really hard with Clerk Challenger to get organized, which I've been very proud to see. Election records are being organized. Just a lot of materials that have sat in kind of disrepair around here are being analyzed and organized. So I'm really proud of this front office team and the work that they've done to get us organized and ready for the future. So I'm very, very proud of them. Any questions? Wow.
Wow. Yeah, I was gonna say. Three, shoot.
Trustee
go-
Rosecrans?
Who got the bid? If you give the bid,
It's the Sealy Group.
Sealy Group?
Tim Spalding. It's the only bid I received. And it was for $17,400. But it's for the entire building. And I think the product that we've picked out will eliminate the need for us to close the building. We had been doing that twice a year, and it takes staff about a week to strip and wax those floors. So we will no longer have to do that after the installation of this product. And it's very similar to, if any of you have visited the police station, it's very similar to the product that they have in their hallways. So I'm pleased with the quality, because those have held up very nicely since they were installed.
Also, on the meeting, is there going to be any capacity for the in-house meeting for the board?
I still am needing to analyze that more, but with the release of the masks, I will take a look at that specifically, Al, and get back to you, but I do not think that there is a limit on capacity.
Okay.
But I will verify that, though.
Except the normal amount that we have.
In that room, I think it's 65, but
Okay,
per the fire marshal. So.
thank you.
Anybody else? Trustee Fewens Bliss?
So with last week, the federal government adding Juneteenth to the holiday list, is that something that the township will add to our holiday list too, or is there a process for that?
I have begun working again on the new updated personnel policy. So that change would come to you as part of that document. If you would like to take a separate action on that, we could do that as well, but it will be contained with the list of federal holidays that are contained within that document.
Great, thanks. I think that's a great idea.
You're welcome. Joe or Jace, I don't remember. Joe?
Yeah, hopefully the product that we're gonna put in there for a floor is available.
I hope so too, Joe. Tim, Mr. Spalding has put the order in and I have not heard from him yet whether it is available or not available. So I'm trying to wait patiently to see if it is available.
So if for some reason it wasn't available, could we wax the floors we have and open?
Yes,
Okay,
yes. I would try to minimize the amount of closure and get it done before we open. So,
Okay.
Trustee Almarigi, did you have a question? No? Okay, sorry. I thought I saw your hand.
All right, thank you. Any other?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm assuming there isn't any other discussion. So our next one would be 17, which is our public comments. Second, public comments. And again, we will stick to the 3-minute rule. So if you're going to be speaking, you understand you're going to start and I'll let you know.
If anyone would like to make a public statement at this time, you may raise your hand if you have your video turned on, raise your Zoom hand, or dial *9. Mr. White, go ahead.
First, I want to thank Treasurer Wisswasser for the report there, about the financial report. Let's see if I can find my notes here. I just lost my, excuse me for a second. Okay, here we go. Lost my notes.
So that means you're finished or you're just,
Okay,
okay.
can you give me a 30-second timeout on that? Or?
Nope, you got your 3 minutes and you've got 2
Well,
more minutes to go.
All right. Thanks for the report. It shows the budget and the fund balance goes up every year. Budget for police fire goes up every year. Community development budget goes down or gets eliminated. Why don't you want to invest in the community? You are obstructing progress instead of enabling it. And you're working in a vacuum, not informing the public. This newsletter I just got, it's a lot of fluff, nice pictures of the employees, but you missed a big opportunity to communicate. Township updates are about burn permits and weed whackers. What's the township board doing? Nothing in there about that. Nothing in there about the DDA or the landscape planning. Why are you keeping the public in the dark? And now you cancel the July 5th meeting. Well, sooner or later, you're going to have to face the public. And I think they'll be offended. You trustees with no development experience or a little development experience, you're making erroneous claims, uninformed decisions that affect our quality of life. You don't live in the neighborhood for 45 years like I do. We know what's going on. And somehow you presume to know what's best for us. Hundreds of us have spoken in favor of the DDA and future plans. And instead of listening to us, you act like you know it all, see it all with the keys to Bath's future in the treasurer's pocket. Well, it isn't. He's taking the keys to Bath's future out of the public DDA's pocket, giving it to the private developers.
Okay, Will, your 3
I
minutes
trust
are
our
up.
treasurer to balance the books, but I don't trust him and two elected trustees with Bath's future.
Will, your
Respect
time
for
is
the-
up. Your 3 minutes. Thank you.
I object. I
Well-
have personal privilege that I
No.
wasn't able to speak for 30 seconds due to a computer glitch because of these crummy Zoom meetings. If
Can't
I
help
was in
that.
public, I
Your-
would have been able to speak
Your 3
correctly.
minutes are up.
Well, this action is short-sighted, financially imprudent, and unsupported
It's-
by any professional planner. You failed your fiduciary duty to guard the funds. You failed every one of the principles of government in today's packets. This has got to be the most irresponsible board decision I've seen in my 45 years as a
Will,
Bath
your
resident.
3
And I
minutes are
regret that I
up.
voted for any of you. Thanks
So-
for listening.
Thank you. Taylor? We go to the next one?
Yes, would anybody
Thank you.
else like to make a public statement at this time? I do not see anyone additional.
Okay. All right, we have board member comments, number 18. So do we start at the top corner? Oh, go ahead, trustee Rosecrans.
I been looking at this screen for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I'm
I've got 6
amazed at
minutes.
Fred Bowling's hair. He's got the nicest head of hair I've seen, grown in 2 weeks, and I got to talk to the man on what he done. I'd like to talk to him.
Then give him a call.
Other than that, I have nothing.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Benzie?
Just a couple things this evening. I've had a couple folks talk to me about the condition of our streets. And we need to have a discussion on how we might do some street cleaning. We have a lot of debris in our gutter areas, and we need to address that. And Trustee Amarigi mentioned to me that some of our parks have really nice signs, and talk a little bit about the history of the park. And some of our signs have a board with stencil on them. So in the future, I'd like to have a discussion about maybe upgrading the signs in all of our parks so they speak of our history and who donated the property and they're done correctly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Feedwin Bliss?
Thanks for a great and productive meeting. I agree with Will on the report from our treasurer. I found that really interesting. Really good context that we can use for other decision making throughout the coming year. And appreciate everyone's great comments.
Thank you. Trustee Amarigi?
I'd like to thank 2 of our fellow board members. First, Supervisor Howe. This has been an improved meeting from past meetings, so I want to thank you for listening to us. And related to that, I wanted to acknowledge Treasurer Wiswasser's statement about being respectful of individuals who work within the township. Maria and I met in person, and I shared colorful language that while you didn't name anyone, I will out myself as someone who is not respectful to the township staff. And so I want to apologize to everyone who heard my liberal use of terms that are not fully appreciated by all classes of people.
All right, thank you. Okay, Clerk Challenger?
I just want to thank the front office staff. They're working very hard on putting all the information into the cemetery system. It's a huge project. I just really want to acknowledge them for that.
Thank you. Treasurer Wiswasser?
Thank you. Thank you. I don't really have any comments tonight. So thank you for the attention to the reports that we do here. That's about all I got to say tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I have a thank you that goes to Dave Mulder, who, and this goes back to May 25th, and I don't know if I need to request that these be put in the minutes or not. I don't know how that actually works. On the 25th of May, they did have the food bank opening, and I did have a tour with a Dave Mulder, who was very, very good. And at that meeting with him and others, which they put a lot of hard work into that grand opening, there was some very kind words, and I said this before about Mr. Kessler, Darrell Kessler, which was very nice to hear. He apparently worked very closely with them, which was very nice, and they greatly appreciated it. So again, I want to thank them and for that tour, Dave Mulder. And it was definitely worth going to. If you haven't had a chance to be inside, you need to go inside just to be able to get a look of what's happening. So for me, thank you everybody for coming. I am really looking forward to in-person meetings, so hopefully that will come, and it will come soon. I am very, very disappointed in the fact of the DDA. You all know that I'm very pro DDA. I've seen what it can do, and I know what it can do. So I am sorry to hear that that's what you've done, but that's been your decision to make. So with that, I think we're going to call for an adjournment.
I move we adjourn.
We have the
Second.
motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, what's the vote?
Ms. Howe,
Yes.
Mr. Rosecrans,
Yes.
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes. Mr. Wisswasser,
Yes.
Mr. Almarigi,
Yes.
Mr. Benzi,
Yes.
Mr. Funes Bliss.
Yes.
Thank you.
Think so.
All right, right on time, 8 o'clock.